Hey, what's up? This is Scott with Level Up Tuts, and today I'm going to show you the box model for CSS. So what the CSS box model is, it's basically saying that the elements on your page, the HTML elements, are essentially in a box, right? And this box contains the outermost layer is the margin, and then the border, then you have something called padding, and then your actual content. Okay, so what we're going to actually tell you to do first off is how to control the width and height in this video. And then we're going to go over the other elements that are the other layers of the CSS box model, okay? This is going to start to get into positioning elements on the page, which is something is sort of essential if you're doing CSS. So we have this page that we had here before where we just had like a purple color and I had this, but we don't really have it positioned anywhere. As you can see, it's sort of in the middle and it fills up most of the screen, and there's a little bit of a margin up top here. Well, we're going to go over all of that stuff, creating margins, padding, borders, any of that stuff, and everything you're going to learn to need to position your elements on the screen. Okay, so the first thing we want to show you is height and width. If you come to your CSS here, I have this div that's the wrapper div, and then I have the body. The body has this background image and color, and this wrapper div has a background of white. But if you notice, I'm not actually telling it anywhere to have any sort of margins or anything. If we come back to our document, you can see it's all pushed. We have all this margin, or what it is, it's actually a browser default style. If we right click on this, I'm going to inspect element. If you're using Chrome, it's inspect element. I believe Firefox is also inspect element now. Safari, you might want to be on one of those if you're doing some of this testing out. These tools are really nice and handy to have. And as you can see here, I can go through the site here, the code, and it'll tell me the CSS on the right hand side. So by default, here I'm hovering over a paragraph tag. By default, for it to look normal, the browser automatically renders it with having a 1em margin before and after and a display of block. So this is how it default, the browser default for paragraph tags, ULs, H1s, all this stuff. And you can see this H1, H1's margin that's up top here is actually what's pushing this whole page down. But what's pushing it to the side? If we come in body, our body actually has an 8 pixel margin all the way around. And this is just browser defaults. So these kind of things just show up. They're, they're good to know about. In future lessons, we'll go over using different boilerplates or anything like that. Will come with a normalize or a reset file. Well, those are different things, and we'll go over that at a later date. What it does is sort of wipes out your browser style, so you have like a more blank starting point. And normalize is a little bit different. But it's a similar concept that your browser has these starting styles. So that's actually where this is coming. But let's say we want to actually give this div a width, because right now by default it's going to take up 100%, except for this 8 pixel margin that's on the body by default. Let's actually give this div, this wrapper div, a width and a height. And that's really easy in CSS. So what we're going to do here is we're going to type width, and we're going to give this a width of 400 pixels. And then I'm going to type height. I'm going to give it a height of 400 pixels. And this is going to make this a nice square for us. So we'll come back to Chrome, refresh, and here we have a square. Okay, and so as you can see, it's 400 by 400 pixels. It takes up about as much of the screen as it has to, just to fill up those 400 pixels. Another way you can define width is through a percentage, but it's the percentage in its container. Okay, so as you can see, there's nothing really wrapping around this div except for the body. The body takes up this much space. So if we were to give this div a width of 80%, it's going to fill up 80% of this space right here. Okay, so let's come to our CSS here, and we're going to give this a width of 80%, and you can see exactly what's going to happen. Okay, so there it is. We have an 80% width. You know, the great thing about percentage-based widths is that when you move the browser window, the percentage, since it's always a percentage and not a pixel amount, the content is going to adjust. So this is going to become really important once we get into some responsive web design topics like media queries and mobile first and all sorts of great layout things where your content adjusts to the device or the screen size that it's being viewed on. That way everybody gets a good looking website, no matter, who's viewing it on what device, if it's an iPad or a Nexus or whatever. Okay, so that's how you define height and width. And in the next couple of lessons, we're going to go over margin, and then border, and then padding. And then by the end of that, you'll have a firm grasp on what you can do with the CSS box and how you can control your divs or anything, right? As always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment in the video. Hit us up at Twitter at @LevelUpTuts. Let us know what you're thinking. Once again, this is Scott, and thanks for watching.